In 1957, when he came to the White House on the hill, the children were laughing because he could not speak to them. He had left behind the language and the music of the place he was born. One has to pass many roads to reach it, through the jungle, past the monkeys. For years, it was only the name of a city. Place of birth, Trincomalee.
My name is Liz. My work is mostly based on conceptual research, and maybe I should start just where I was born and where I grew up. So I grew up in Berlin and lived for many years there. Then I moved to Switzerland, got taught in arts and design, and then moved to London and finished my degree over there. Now in Sri Lanka, working as an artist, and as I said before, my work is mostly based in conceptual research and philosophy, history of art. That's why I'm working. My mediums, most of the time photography, fine art photography, which is accompanied by my creative writing. But I'm also interested in painting and drawing. Basically what I say, what is art to me is, I don't think anybody is born as an artist. So for myself, from my perspective, to become an artist or to work in art is mostly a process which you develop over years. It's most of the time a painful process because you're reflecting on yourself. And art is something which I consider is expressing my world, expressing my reflections, because in my case, I just developed this feeling that sometimes I can't close my eyes. I'm like a sponge soaking all the time, all my impressions in it. Somehow I have to tell the world what I'm seeing. So this is something for me which I don't really mind if somebody is listening to me or something. I just express it. If somebody is listening, it's nice, even if it's one person. As I said before, I was born in Berlin and grew up in Berlin. But my parents are Sri Lankan, and for me it was always something quite natural to be in between two cultures. So I don't actually see that difference anymore. I don't know, I can't distinguish with this. But for me, it was always like my parents never forced these Sri Lankan cultures on me. They never said you have to be one day proper Sri Lankan girl or something. It was something quite natural. I just liked the way they live and they practice Buddhism and stuff like this. So it was, as said before, something natural, and I think I'm doing something, as I also lived in so many other countries other than Germany and Sri Lanka. It's something that I'm taking the most of it, and I'm making the most of it, of all these cultures. The studies I went through is looking back something which really shaped me, because the way we work there is, from the very beginning they told us there's no answer to photography, you have to find your own answer. See it critical, do research, go to galleries, see work from others, and just never be satisfied. So the process I went through was really painful. I mean, the 3 years I went there, 2 of my fellow students committed suicide because they couldn't take it anymore. I think we started with about 60 students, finally graduated about 24, so you can think what they are doing. They don't want any rubbish, they just want the good seeds out of all this. So a lot of them dropped out, a lot of them just finished, they couldn't take it anymore, as I said. While I was studying, I was also thinking, why should I do this to myself? But it's the part of this process I talked about. We're artists and we have to go somewhere, sometimes the shabby road, I think. And it was actually something which I wouldn't miss for nothing. And it is like the way they have taught us was always, they were never satisfied with whatever they were questioning, and it's not, I mean, the program at University of Arts SSC is, it's called photography, but it's so much more. It's mostly rooted in philosophy and history of art, taking all these thoughts into account and doing like a critical approach towards photography. We are not that much trained in doing proper like techniques, photography, that stuff. We are more trained in doing the conceptual part of it. So that's why I really liked it there. If someone would ask me if I want to go there again, I would say yes, maybe only the final year, but not the 3 years again, because it was quite painful.
I dig into his mind, asking for the memories, and suddenly he began to sing. He moved his arms, mimicking slightly the Kathakali dance movements, and for the first time, I heard him speaking the left-behind language of his childhood. Pachaikili Padutu was the lay on the yards in Moore Street. Chandra danced and sang like she saw it in the Tamil movie of the days. Her intense dancing, overall the shiny, tinkling bangles on her feet and arms, the skirt whirling, pulsating, and his eyes could not follow.
It's the work, Trincomalee, is about my very personal viewpoint towards photography. Because this is something, because the role of photography, I was studying this for 3 years, and I thought like, what's my experience with photography? So my experience with photography, that it wasn't there all the years, because my father's family archive, it was here in Sri Lanka. I didn't have that much of, I never had it, and it vanished over the years. You know the problem in Sri Lanka about the humidity and the photographs, they were next to nothing from my own archive. So for me it felt like a lack of visual archive, I said, because I grew up in Europe and everybody had photography which was like, 100 years old from their ancestors. I never had this, or very limited archive. So I started to do research about this and started to research about the different role of photography in South Asia and how do we see that. And Trincomalee was a part of this. It was a very personal approach to the role of photography within here, and the story is that my father was born in Trincomalee. Everybody knows in Sri Lanka the story of Trincomalee. He was born there in the 1950s, and when the civil war was yet to unfold. And it's a very, I wouldn't say it's nostalgia, because he never has feelings, so he just told me that he had a friend there, a Tamil girl, and he used to play with her on the streets. And then they moved back to Colombo, and he has never seen her again. And all he knows, all he can remember is that he used to play with her on the streets, and he told me about the games they played. And I thought it's a very touching story, background of Trincomalee and these two innocent children playing there. And then I started, because I only had this oral history of him, no visual evidence, no nothing. That's why I went there and wanted to see the place, because we never had the chance to go there, because you couldn't go to the east. And so I went there, and I was lucky to find the places. He was only 3 years old when he was there, so it was a very fragile string I could follow. Nobody, my grandfather, my grandmother, they passed away, so I just had to follow this very, very thin string to go there. But I luckily found the places, his house and the school and something, and it was a very touching experience to go there. It was not all the time only about my father and my personal history. It was more because this story was about so much linked to Sri Lanka's story, like the Civil War, and I always followed that little string because I thought, see, there was a time when everything was peaceful, when Tamil and Singh and his children just played on the street like nothing ever happened before or something. So that's why I followed this story. And once I exhibited the book, it's actually an artist's book. Many people, even in London, came came to me and said, we know Trincomalee because our grandfather was based at the Navy and something. So I had a lot of encounters, personal encounters with people who said, okay, it's still a beautiful city and we're happy that the Civil War is over. And yeah, and it also like gave me something that I can say, okay, this chapter is closed now. I have experienced this, I have seen when my father grew up, and it's a really nice experience looking back. And I hope lots of people enjoy that work.
The whistle blew my thoughts away, left them at the Gulf of Mannar as I travelled to the Bay of Bengal. Every part of my feet was palpably hurting, but my legs followed the string. The stalls outside the station were ready to open for the day, every piece carefully arranged. Gleaming red apples next to red-coloured plastic trays, rabbits, dogs, ticking clocks, knickers, and blue-striped handkerchiefs. The heat was still sleeping, while the salesman brushed his teeth, spitting on the street where the sole touched the busy ground. Yards away, rusty red steel beams underneath Ashok Leyland's force, strong and immense, growing out of the grey ground.
The question of being a woman and being an artist never came up to me when I was in Europe. It was never a big issue. The first time I have encountered something is when I'm going with my camera around here. It's always something that the people look at you. Right? Because it's, I think, quite unusual in Sri Lanka being a woman who's doing photography or who's just handling a camera. And, there's no cameraman, which I know is a woman, like director, I don't know, like there are few. But I never had such a big, the people are looking and it's maybe something unusual to them, but I never had something that they said, okay, you shouldn't do this or something. Of course we have these issues that arts are not being respected that much here. They just say this is maybe something like a hobby, but it's not a profession. So we all have, but I think that's the same for men as well as women. That if we say, okay, we want to follow a professional career in arts, that's something which is a bit of a struggle with it. I never had a problem with being a woman and being an artist. Okay, from my viewpoint, it's like this. I was never the biggest fan of saying, okay, I only work in darkroom analog, I only work with digital, I don't want to work on any digital manipulations. It's like this, I see for my project, if it fits with the concept of my work, if it fits with the idea of my work, I use large format, I can use medium format or something like this. If I think, okay, I need to work on digital, I need to manipulate this because it fits with the concept, I work that because I don't really limit myself. We have so much opportunities and I never understood why the people are still saying we don't want to work. I can understand that they're saying, okay, we have to keep alive the analog, the large format work because it has a different message inside. But always think of this, does it work with my thought? Is it specifically working with the idea I'm working on? That's how I see it, and I also see it like the rapid development in technology is helpful for me. Because I can choose, I have more opportunities, I don't have to limit myself. This is how I see it, and I think development only like gives us something instead of taking something. But we are the owners of this. So if we are owned by technology, that doesn't work. So I have to know what I'm working on. I have to know the medium. So if all that works together, I think it's fine, and I don't have to discuss about what I do and what I don't want to. What will this do in future? There's so much of things coming up. I mean, just exhibition-wise, the next exhibition is going to be in Washington, D.C., where I have to go, and after this I have to go to India and have some more work which I'm going to exhibit. While I'm in Sri Lanka right now, I try to understand society, I try to understand at the moment I'm in the process of taking all this in, like being the sponge again and reflecting on this. I think there are a lot of things which are new to me, like under the hidden. I mean, because growing up in Europe, there's nothing which is hidden under the surface, and there's a lot of things which are hidden under the surface in Sri Lanka, and I like to discover this and develop this, and I like to understand society here, and that's why I'm living here. So there's a lot of things coming up for me. I have a specific project in mind for an entry call, which is about shopping malls, and understand the shopping mall in Asia, which is I think very much different from the way we understand it in Europe. And this is a project I'm working on at the moment. I'm also working on some creative writing about my experience here since I'm here. So all the time something is coming up, but you know, like as an artist, sometimes you feel like working, sometimes you don't feel like working, and at the moment I really feel like working, but it took me a few months to go back there.
A woman on the side stands next to stacks of ripe mangoes. A fraction of a second rushing by, but her glance does not leave my mind before the bus plunged into the jungle, the light changing. The harsh sunlight broke into pieces of soft shadows. Dust and clear wind around my ears. Close my eyes and see the light brown and a dense green rushing by. Their fur was a light marbled brown. These handsome monkeys sat on the twinkling street along the breaking light. I tried to close the eyes, but the wheels constantly turned around. The voice, over and over again, penetrated my sleep, carried me away, lay next to my ear. Her voice floating from the temple. Hindi words spluttered everywhere. They took me, woke me. My eyes still clotted. I walked on the soil. It came closer, the nearby brimming market. I followed the small path. The broken wood beams of the roof, dense and dark, growing in the air, the colors flaking.